Ramadan. It's a month that a lot of people are curious about. But, the headlines only tell you so much, and we want to go deeper than that today. So we're diving into this text called Embracing the Spirit of Ramadan, and really going to explore, what makes this month so significant. I'll touch on, like, its transformative power, the emphasis on community, and even this like, almost mysterious night. They say it's more powerful than 1,000 months.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, like, how much more there is to Ramadan than just, not eating or drinking. It's really this time of deep, you know, spiritual exploration for individuals and the community too.
So let's get right to it. What exactly is Ramadan, and why is it considered so holy?
So Ramadan is the ninth month of the Islamic lunar calendar, and it's considered the holiest month for Muslims. And it's this time of heightened spiritual awareness where, people are really focusing on prayer, charity, and self-reflection.
Okay, lunar calendar. Now, for those of us who, might not be super familiar, can you explain how a lunar calendar is different from the one we typically use?
Well, think of it this way. Instead of following, like, the sun's cycles, like in the Gregorian calendar, a lunar calendar follows the cycles of the moon. So each month begins with a new moon. Which makes it slightly shorter than, the months that we're used to. So that means Ramadan will actually shift by like 11 days each year in the Gregorian calendar.
So it's not tied to a specific season.
Right.
That's pretty interesting. But what is it that makes this month so special for Muslims?
Well, while fasting is a big part of Ramadan, it's not just about abstaining from food and drink. Yeah, the act of fasting serves a dual purpose. It's a physical and spiritual discipline. It helps individuals, break free from distractions and really cultivate inner peace and a deeper connection with God.
It's almost like, like a reset, but not just for the body, for like our minds and spirits too. I've tried, intermittent fasting before, and even that short period of time, it really shifted my perspective on food and my eating habits in general.
Yeah. And fasting during Ramadan can have a much more profound impact. It allows you to experience a fraction of what those less fortunate, experience daily. And that experience leads to, like, increased generosity and charitable acts.
Well, speaking of charity, our source highlighted how important giving back to the community is during Ramadan. So can you explain the different forms of charity that are practiced during this month?
Sure. So in Islam, there are two main types of charitable giving, zakat and sadaqah. Zakat is a mandatory form of almsgiving, and it's calculated as a percentage of a Muslim's wealth. Yeah. And it's considered one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Sadaqah, on the other hand, is a voluntary act of charity, and it's encouraged all throughout the year, but especially emphasized during Ramadan. And both zakat and sadaqah, aim to uplift the less fortunate and really foster a sense of community and shared responsibility.
It's remarkable how these acts of giving create this ripple effect. It impacts not just the receiver, but also the giver. I think this connection between inner spiritual practice and outward acts of generosity, I think it's really something that sets Ramadan apart. Beyond fasting and charity, though, what else does Ramadan entail?
Well, prayer is another pillar of Islam, and it takes on kind of a heightened significance during Ramadan. Muslims will continue to perform the 5 daily prayers, but there are also special Taraweeh prayers that are during Ramadan. These are longer prayers, typically performed, in congregation at the mosque after the evening prayer.
So it's almost like you're intensifying the spiritual routine during this month.
Yeah.
I imagine it must create a very unique atmosphere with people coming together for prayer and reflection.
Yes.
And speaking of reflection, our source also talks about the importance of self-reflection, during this time. What does that look like in practice?
Well, Ramadan provides a dedicated time for really looking inward, examining your actions and intentions. It's a time to seek forgiveness for past mistakes, and to really commit to positive change moving forward. And this inner work is essential for personal growth and aligns with the overall spirit of purification and renewal during Ramadan.
So it's not just about like the outward rituals, it's about cultivating like this deeper connection with your inner self and your relationship with God. I mean, it's something that, even if you don't observe Ramadan in a religious context, it resonates. This idea of dedicating a month to, self-improvement and spiritual growth. I think it's something we can all connect with.
Absolutely. And this is where the concept of Laylat al-Qadr comes in, or the Night of Power. It adds another layer of intensity to this already profound month.
Now we're talking about this mysterious night they say is more powerful than 1,000 months. Tell me more about this special night and its significance in Ramadan.
So Laylat al-Qadr is, it's believed to be the night when the first verses of the Quran were revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, and it falls during the last 10 nights of Ramadan. But the exact date is unknown, and that just adds to the mystery of it, and it really encourages Muslims to be especially devoted during this time.
So there's an element of anticipation, almost like a searching. You know that this incredibly powerful night is coming, but you don't know exactly when it will be. What is it that makes this night so special?
Well, on Laylat al-Qadr, Muslims believe that their prayers and supplications are heard and answered with particular favor. And it's a time for seeking forgiveness, expressing gratitude, and making these earnest pleas for guidance and blessings. And the spiritual significance of this night is immense. It really underscores the transformative potential of Ramadan.
It's incredible to think about what's possible.
Yeah.
If your prayers had that kind of weight behind them, it's almost like a direct line. This night sounds like a culmination of all the spiritual work that's done throughout the month.
It really does. It emphasizes that heightened spiritual awareness that characterizes the last 10 days of Ramadan.
This has been an incredible exploration so far. We've covered the fundamental aspects of Ramadan, the meaning behind fasting, the different forms of charity, even touched on the mystique surrounding Laylat al-Qadr.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's still much more to explore about the communal aspects of Ramadan, the joyous celebrations, and the profound personal experiences that really shape this holy month.
Well, I, for one, am very excited to delve deeper into those aspects. Stay tuned, listeners, because in part 2, we're going to uncover, the cultural richness, the traditions, the heartwarming stories that make Ramadan such a special time for Muslims worldwide.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Ramadan. We've explored the core principles of this holy month. But now I think let's shift our focus a little bit to the experience, the vibrant communal experience that really brings Ramadan to life.
I'm really fascinated by this idea that Ramadan fosters this sense of unity, that extends far beyond, just immediate family. And our source material really emphasized that community aspect. So can you elaborate on how that sense of unity actually manifests during Ramadan?
Well, Ramadan is a time when Muslims around the world come together, united by shared faith and purpose. And it's about, strengthening the bonds within the entire Muslim community known as the Ummah, transcending these geographical boundaries and cultural differences. And this sense of unity is beautifully expressed through, communal meals, especially iftar, which is the breaking of the fast at sunset.
Yeah, our source described like this joy of breaking the fast together. So paint us a picture. What does a typical iftar gathering look and feel like?
Okay, imagine this. As the sun sets, families and friends, they gather around these tables laden with just delicious food. And the air is filled with this anticipation and a sense of gratitude, for the blessings of the day. And then the call to prayer echoes, signaling the end of the fast. And a feeling of peace just washes over everyone. Dates are often the first thing eaten, following the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad.
It sounds so sensory, so communal. There's something really powerful about sharing a meal with others, especially after a day of fasting and reflection.
Absolutely. There's this really palpable energy of joy and relief as everyone takes, the first sips of water and savors, the flavors of the meal. Laughter and conversation fill the air, and it's a time to reconnect with loved ones, share stories.
Yeah, it just sounds like these shared meals create such a space for connection and create lasting memories. But what about those who might not have family nearby, or loved ones, or those who are facing maybe difficult times? How does the community support them during Ramadan?
Well, that's one of the most remarkable things about Ramadan is that no one is left behind. Mosques and community centers, they often host these large iftar gatherings. They're open to everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances. And it's this beautiful expression of inclusivity and a testament to the spirit of compassion and solidarity that really defines Ramadan.
That's incredibly heartwarming. So even if someone is alone or struggling, they can still find a place of belonging and
Yes.
support within the community during Ramadan.
Exactly. And this sense of shared responsibility goes beyond just providing meals.
Yeah.
People make a conscious effort to help those in need, whether it's through volunteering or donating to charities or simply offering a kind word or gesture.
It sounds like Ramadan just like magnifies that spirit of generosity and compassion. It makes you wonder, how can we tap into that spirit in our own lives, even outside of a religious context?
That's a powerful question, and one I think we'll explore a little bit further. But first, I want to talk about another significant meal during Ramadan, suhoor.
Suhoor, what is that?
So suhoor is the pre-dawn meal. It's consumed before the day's fast begins, and it's an essential part of Ramadan.
Yeah.
It provides that energy and sustenance needed to get through those long hours of fasting.
So it's like a spiritual power breakfast.
Exactly.
I can imagine families waking up before dawn, sharing a quiet meal together before the day's activities begin.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of stillness and serenity to suhoor. Um, it's a time for quiet reflection and intention setting, before embarking on another day of spiritual discipline.
It seems like both iftar and suhoor play like vital roles in shaping that Ramadan experience, punctuating the month with these rhythms of shared meals and connection. But beyond the meals, are there other traditions that contribute to this vibrant communal tapestry?
Well, many communities organize special events throughout Ramadan. There
Yeah.
might be nightly prayers at the mosque, lectures on Islamic teachings, or even Quran recitation competitions.
Quran recitation competition. Ugh, that sounds intense.
Yeah, they really are something. It really showcases the beauty and power of the Quran. Participants will memorize and recite verses, and it demonstrates their devotion and mastery. It's a testament to the importance of the Quran and Islamic tradition, and it often draws large crowds.
It's amazing how these events just like unite people around their faith and shared traditions. I think it's a good reminder that spirituality doesn't have to be a solitary experience.
Exactly, and this sense of community, it's not limited to those who are observing the fast. Many non-Muslims, they participate in Ramadan events, and they get to experience the spirit of the month alongside their Muslim friends and neighbors.
That speaks volumes about the universality of values, like compassion and generosity. These are values that we can all connect with. Regardless of background, what role does family play in passing down these traditions to younger generations?
Well, family is really at the heart of transmitting Islamic teachings and cultural practices. And during Ramadan, parents and elders often act as mentors, guiding children through the rituals and explaining the deeper meaning behind them.
It sounds like a beautiful tradition passed down through generations. Each generation adding its own layer of experience and understanding. I can almost imagine grandparents sharing stories of their own Ramadan experiences. Creating this wonderful sense of continuity and connection to the past.
Absolutely. Children, they learn by observing and participating,
Hmm.
and gradually they take on more responsibility as they grow.
Mm.
And by the time they reach adulthood, the practices of Ramadan have become deeply ingrained,
Yeah.
shaping
Yeah.
their values and their worldview.
It speaks to the enduring strength of tradition, and the essential role that family plays in shaping our identity.
Ramadan is rich with storytelling and reflection, and families share memories of past Ramadans, the special meals, those moments of spiritual insight that have stayed with them, and it strengthens the bonds between generations and enriches the overall experience.
Hmm. It sounds like Ramadan is this tapestry, It's woven from personal experience, communal traditions, and the shared faith. It's a testament to the power of human connection
Yes.
and the enduring spirit of this month.
It reminds us that even in a world that often feels divided, there's this profound yearning for connection, for meaning, for a sense of belonging. And Ramadan offers this powerful model for how we can, cultivate that sense of belonging, both, within ourselves and within our communities.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Ramadan. We've explored the spiritual and communal aspects, but now I'm curious about the personal transformation, the change that happens within individuals during Ramadan.
It was really fascinating how, these outward practices, the fasting, the prayer, the charity, how they actually translate into these deep inner changes.
Our source describes Ramadan as a month of profound personal growth. So how did these practices lead to that transformation?
We'll take fasting, for example.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just, physical discipline. And it really cultivates this heightened sense of self-awareness. It's almost like you're holding up a mirror to your habits and your desires and revealing those patterns that are driving your behavior.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Even with intermittent fasting, just that restriction made me so much more aware of my relationship with food. Like I started noticing the emotional triggers, like the mindless snacking, the habits that I had formed without even realizing it.
Exactly. And by recognizing those patterns, you gain the power to shift them, replace those unhealthy habits with more conscious choices. And
Yeah.
and that's where, real personal growth happens.
So it's not just willpower. It's about like deeper self-understanding.
Precisely. And this awareness extends, beyond just, physical habits. Ramadan encourages you to really examine your thoughts, your actions, your relationships, through prayer and reflection.
Yeah.
And it's a time to identify those areas where, you want to grow, whether it's, being more patient or cultivating gratitude or becoming more forgiving.
It's almost like this spiritual detox,
Yeah.
You're letting go of those negative patterns and creating space for a more authentic version of yourself to emerge.
That's a great way to put it. And then the emphasis on charity during Ramadan, that further enhances this process. Giving
Yeah.
to those in need cultivates empathy, and it really expands your capacity for compassion.
Yeah, it shifts your perspective outward, reminds you that your well-being is interconnected with the well-being of others.
Yes. And by extending kindness and generosity, you not only impact other people's lives, but you also nourish your own soul. It's this beautiful
Yeah.
reminder that true fulfillment, it comes from connection, both, with ourselves and with the world around us.
It's incredible how these practices are all woven together and they create such a powerful path for personal transformation. But for those of us who don't observe Ramadan in a religious context, are there ways that we can apply these principles to our own lives?
Absolutely. I think the beauty of these principles is their universality.
Yeah.
You don't have to fast for an entire month to experience the benefits of self-reflection
Yeah.
or to, practice gratitude.
So it's about taking the essence of these practices and integrating them into our daily routine.
Exactly. You could dedicate a specific time each day for quiet reflection. Just thinking about your actions and your choices, or challenge yourself to write down like 3 things that you're grateful for each day. These small acts can have a profound impact over time.
What about the charity aspect? How can we embody that spirit of giving, in our everyday lives?
It doesn't have to be these grand gestures. It could be as simple as offering a helping hand to a neighbor or volunteering at a local organization or simply being more attentive to the needs of those around you.
It's about shifting our focus from me to we and recognizing that our actions, have a ripple effect on the world.
Precisely. And that shift in perspective can really contribute to a more compassionate, interconnected world.
This deep dive into Ramadan has been truly illuminating. We uncovered the spiritual depth, the beauty of the communal traditions and the transformative power that it holds for individuals and communities.
And as we conclude our exploration, I want to leave you with this thought.
Right.
How can you incorporate the principles of Ramadan? Self-discipline, gratitude, compassion, and commitment to community. How can you incorporate these into your own life? How can you enrich your own journey and inspire others through your actions?
Those are powerful questions for all of us to consider. And
Mm.
as we've discovered, the wisdom of Ramadan, it transcends the boundaries of any particular, faith or tradition. It offers these timeless insights into the human experience, reminding us of our interconnectedness and the power of mindful living.
Let's carry that spirit of Ramadan with us. Let's embrace these values in our daily lives.
Yeah.
Let's strive to create a world where, understanding and empathy can flourish, where communities can thrive, and where everyone feels empowered to live a life of purpose and meaning.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep your minds curious, your hearts open, and your spirits bright.